Welcome to The Explainer. You ever see a headline about some amazing new study and wonder, how on earth did they cram years of research into an article I can read in 2 minutes? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that exact process. We're breaking down how a massive, complex dissertation gets transformed into a news story that everyone can understand.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the headlines themselves, then look at the different ways journalists tell a story. After that, we're going behind the scenes to see the 4 stages of the actual research, how a report gets built, and we'll wrap up with 5 golden rules for writing about science with perfect clarity. So let's kick things off with what we all see first, the news report. You gotta think of this as just the very, very tip of a giant iceberg. It's the shiny, finished product that makes it to the public.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? How does this massive technical document, we're talking hundreds of pages of dense academic work, get boiled down into something you can skim on your phone during your coffee break? It's a pretty wild transformation from super detailed to super accessible. Okay, this table tells the whole story. Look at what gets left on the cutting room floor. An academic thesis has to show all its work, the literature review, how they chose people, how they made sure the study was valid. The newspaper report, it just slashes right through all that and gets to the juicy bits. It zeroes in on the problem, the findings, and the interpretation. Basically, what's the big question? What did they find out? And most importantly, why should you care?
So a journalist knows what info to keep. But how do they actually tell that story? Well, it turns out it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. They've got a whole toolbox of different ways to frame the narrative.
First up is the classic, the one you see everywhere, the inverted pyramid. You know this style even if you don't know the name. It gives you the punchline right at the top. The most crucial info is in the first sentence. It's great if you're in a hurry, but there's not much reason to stick around once you know the big secret, right?
Now, for a totally different approach, you've got the narrative style. This flips the script completely. It turns the research into an actual story. Think beginning, middle, and end. It might follow a scientist on their quest for a breakthrough, which creates this human connection that makes you want to see how it all turns out. Then there's the Wall Street Journal style, which is pretty clever. It starts small and personal. It hooks you with the story of one person or maybe one company to make this big topic feel really relatable. Then, once you're invested, it zooms out to give you the bigger picture with all the facts and figures. The champagne glass, cool name, right? This one tries to give you the best of both worlds. It starts like the inverted pyramid, giving you the main takeaway right off the bat. But then, instead of just tapering off, it shifts gears and walks you through the story from beginning to end, adding all that rich context. Think of this one as the hook, line, and sinker method. It starts with a short, punchy story, the anecdote, to grab your attention. Then, once it has you, it delivers what journalists call the nutgraph. That's basically the core of the article, the paragraph that says, okay, here's the real news and why it's a big deal. And finally, we have the stack of blocks. This one is exactly what it sounds like. It breaks the story down into a few distinct parts, almost like Lego blocks. Each section covers a different aspect of the topic. It's super organized, easy to follow, and makes the whole thing really easy to remember. Okay, so that's how the stories get told. But now, we're going to dive deeper. We're going below the surface of the iceberg to look at the massive amount of work that goes on underneath, the actual 4-stage research process. You know, no matter the field, whether it's medicine, physics, or sociology, pretty much every single research project follows these 4 fundamental steps. Think of it as the universal roadmap from a simple question to a powerful answer. So, stage 1, defining the problem. And this is way more than just having a eureka moment. You have to do your homework. That means a deep dive into all the existing research, the literature review. You're checking to make sure what's out there is current, relevant, and accurate. You're essentially checking the map to see where everyone else has already been before you start your own journey. Okay, in stage 2, you can really see the chasm between an academic paper and a news report. The academic report has to spell out every single detail about how they got their information. The newspaper, it just breezes past all that. It'll just say something like, a study of 5,000 people found. It gets straight to the point because the public cares about the findings, not the nitty-gritty methodology. Now, stage 3, this is where the magic happens. It's one thing to present the results. That's just the raw data, the what. But the real genius is in the discussion. That's the so what. This is where the researcher connects the dots, explains what it all means, points out what was surprising, and even talks about the study's limitations. And that leads us right into the final phase. Stage 4, sharing the results. You've done all the work, and now it's time to package it all up. And in any report, you absolutely have to nail the beginning and the end. The introduction and conclusion are everything.
A really great introduction does so much more than just say, here's what this paper is about. It sets the stage. First, it gives you the background. Then it tells you why this topic even matters. After that, it connects to previous work. And finally, it gives you a crystal clear statement of exactly what this research aims to do. It's a roadmap for the reader.
And I just love this quote about conclusions. Its job is to make the reader feel satisfied, but also a little hungry for what's next. A great conclusion doesn't just slam the door shut. It neatly summarizes the main points and powerfully states why they're important, leaving you with something to really think about.
All right, let's wrap this up. No matter what you're writing, all good scientific communication is built on a few core principles. So let's quickly go over the 5 non-negotiable rules for making your work clear and impactful.
These are the fundamentals. 1. Use the correct format. Just follow the rules of the journal or style guide. 2. Use your tenses properly. It sounds nerdy, but it's crucial. Talk about what you did in the past tense and what the data means in the present tense. 3. Be precise. Every word matters. 4. Have one single clear direction. Don't wander off track. And finally, 5. Write systematically. Your ideas should flow in a logical, predictable order.
So there you have it. The whole journey, from a complex idea in a lab to a simple story on your screen. You've seen the journalistic tricks, the academic rigor, and the rules of good writing. The next time you see a big science headline, you'll have a much deeper appreciation for the incredible process behind it. So the only question left is, what story are you going to dive into next?